Good morning, guys. It's the weekend. Hope you all had a great week. Let's go ahead and get going. So let's start on our mat. So just nice and easy. And if you want super relaxed, you can just go ahead and extend out, legs straight. You rest the hands on the stomach and on the chest. If you maybe want a little bit more of a stretch to get going, bring the bottoms of the feet together, the knees come a little bit wider. And just let the knees fall open. So if you're in this position, notice if your low back is really, really arched here. I think pulling that low back down into the ground. This one's going to be a little bit more active. You'll feel it in your core a little bit more. Okay. Close on the sides, taking that really big breath in through the nose. And out through the nose. Big breath in. Feel that expansion of the belly, of the rib cage. And then on that exhale, feel yourself relaxing into that a little bit more. Softening, releasing any tension you're holding onto. Take a big breath in. And exhale. Just continuing that breath on your own. Just a few more. Just coming to this space. Letting everything else go. Maybe any stresses, any tensions you've been holding on to from the week. Just use this next moment or two just to try and focus on the breath. Let all that go. Let's bring those knees together. And go ahead and hug those knees just into the chest. Give it a little rock from side to side. Let's lower those feet down. Bring those arms down by the sides. Feet are parallel to each other with the toes, also the feet and heels. The core tight, scooping that tailbone up. Rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Big extension through these hip flexors. And roll it on down. So we're going to want that tailbone to end or to land last. You can press tailbone lifts first. Pause at the top. So you might feel a little bit of a stretch to those hip flexors and those quads. And then roll it back down. Last time, press. Roll the hips up. And down. So let's cross that right ankle over. Tee out those arms. We'll just drop those knees over to that right side. Keeping that core nice and tight. Keep that left shoulder down. Bring it back up. Let's switch sides. So we'll cross that left ankle over. And right shoulder's going to stay down. And just drop the knees over to that left side. And bring it back up. I can go and uncross it. Hugging those knees in. You can rock. Maybe even making circles with those knees. Now we're going to keep that right knee hugged in. We're going to extend that left leg out. Now that leg, we're going to keep it lifted. So the heel is lifting. You're going to lift the shoulders up to the yank your neck forward. And kind of looking up. So the neck is a little bit longer. And then we'll switch sides. So hugging that left knee in, right leg extends out. And switch, right leg in, left leg out. And switch up. This is too much on the neck. You can always just lower that head down too. Let's go 10, 9, 8, low back is flat, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Both knees hug in. Now we're going to keep that right knee and left leg and lower all the way down towards the ground this time. So think about pressing the heel down and then pressing through the bottom of the heel. Okay, so pressing through the bottom of that foot. So we're really active through this left leg. Now right foot We're gonna reach for the outside edge of it, and let it start to extend through that knee. So we wanna work towards getting it into a 90-degree bend in that knee. So kind of starting there. If you want more of a stretch, pull that knee down towards the mat a little bit more, and then maybe you extend out. If that's a little bit too aggressive, you can obviously keep that knee a little bit more bent, or you can even bend into this left knee. That takes even a little bit more stretch out of it. So just kind of depending on what you're feeling this morning, just doing what works for you. Go right or wrong way. Hold it for a couple of breaths. Go ahead and release that foot. Left hand's going to draw that knee across, right arm reaches out. And then bring that knee back to center. Let's switch sides. Now we'll have that left leg in, right leg just extends out. So if you're keeping the straight leg option, you can press the heel down and then press through the bottom of the foot of the right leg. Now we'll reach for that outside edge of that left foot. Start with drawing that knee down towards the ground first. Chest is lifting, so move that back nice and flat on the mat. And then maybe pull the knee down towards the ground first, and then you can extend it out through that leg, maybe a little bit more. Just depending on how the hip flexors and hamstrings feel this morning. Release it. Right hand reaches for that knee and then twist it across. Let's bring that knee back to center. Okay, the last thing we're going to do here on our backs. Interlacing those fingers behind the head. Start with those knees stacked right over those hips. Shins are going to be parallel to the ground. Now taking that big breath in, then exhale, we're going to twist. So we're going to extend left leg down towards the ground. So the heel is just hovering. We're going to twist left elbow. Try and reach it to the outside of that right knee. Inhale, bring it both back to center. So one more challenge, keep the shoulders and the head lifted, and we can switch sides. So we're going to extend out through that right leg, twist left, or the right elbow reaches across that left knee. Bring it back to center, and we'll switch. Center, and switch. Back to center, here we go. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Hug those knees in. Now let's rock forward and back. We'll come all the way up to that seat. Let's just roll over onto our hands and knees into that tabletop. On that inhale, let's drop that belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone. A few rounds of cat-cow. And on that exhale, round that spine, press the shoulder blades away, draw that belly up and in. That tailbone down towards the ground. And inhale, drop belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we gaze up. Exhale, round. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, round. Inhale, lift. And round. Bringing it to neutral spine. Finding some balance here, so we're extending that right leg back, flex that foot, point those toes down, pressing through that heel as well. So we're really strong through the quad, and we're using this, our glute muscle especially, to lift that leg up. We don't want to be using the back too much. We want that core to stay tight. We want really firing through this glute. Now, left arm is going to reach forward, finding that balance. Now, exhale, we're going to curl it in. So hug that knee in, draw that elbow back, because we're trying to pull that elbow to the knee. And inhale, reach it back out. Exhale, curl it and squeeze. Inhale it back out. Let's go 3 more. Curl and squeeze. Inhale, reach it out. And curl it in. Reach it out. Last one, curl that knee in. Reach it back out. Hold it here. And lower that hand down, lower the knee down. Going to the other side, we're going to extend that left leg back. Point the toes down. Pressing through that heel. Notice tight. Now we're going to reach. Right hand forward. Find that balance. Exhale, curl that knee in. Squeeze that elbow to the knee. Inhale, reach it out. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it out. Curl it in. Reach it back out. We got 2 more. Curl that knee in. And reach. And curl. And reach. Lower that hand down, lower that knee down. Bring those toes together, knees a little bit wider. Pressing those hips back to the heels. Reaching those arms forward. And resting that head down into that child's pose. So more active in this one, so press through those palms. Really straight through those arms. Bring that length through the spine. Pressing the hips to the heels as we rest that head down. Let's come back up onto hands and knees. Go and step it back to a plank. We'll just send those hips up to the sky. Downward facing dog. So slide in those knees. Just pedaling off those feet. So you can bend one knee as you press the opposite heel down towards the mat. So go back and forth. Good, now inhale on the toes. Bend those knees. Let's step those feet up to the top of the mat. Slide the hands to the shins, finding that flat back on the inhale. Exhale, slide those hands down as we fold. Let that head just stay nice and heavy. Now bend into those knees. Flatten out that back. Let's rise up to standing. Reach it up nice and tall. We're going to lower that right hand down. Left arm reaches up and over. Inhale, bring it back up. Exhale to the other side. So right arm reaches up and over. Inhale, reach those arms back up. And exhale, fold it forward. Inhale, hands. Come up maybe a little bit higher on the legs of that half lift, that flat spine. And exhale, slide those hands down to the mat. Go ahead and step it back to our plank. Lower down. Inhale, lifting that chest, maybe coming into that cobra, or maybe we press it up into that upward facing dog. And exhale, sending those hips up, down dog. Now inhale on the toes, bend those knees, stepping those feet top of them. Inhale that half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll rise up. Side bend over to the right. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale it to the left. Inhale, reach it up. And exhale, we'll fold. Inhaling that flat back. And exhale, plant those hands down. Step those feet back to our plank. Lower down. Inhale, lift that chest. Then exhale, those hips to the sky. Downward facing dog. So one more time through that. So inhaling on the toes. Bend those knees, stepping those feet up, top of the mat. Half lift on the inhale. Exhale, fold. And inhale, rise to standing, reach up tall. Side bend over to the right. Inhale back up, over to the left. And inhale, reach it back up, and fold. Fly back on the inhale. And exhale, plant those hands down, step it back to plank. Lower. Inhale, lift. And exhale, those hips up and back down dog. Let's go out 2 more breaths here. And we'll inhale on the toes. Bending those knees, we're going to step those feet a little bit wider. Turn those toes out. We're going to come into that squat. So Hips are a little bit tighter, hips a little bit higher. It's perfectly fine. I think gripping the toes into the mat, driving those knees out as much as you can. Maybe the hips sometimes just a little bit more. Now from here, we're gonna do a couple of squats, maybe warm up those legs a little bit more. So drive the knees out as we come up to standing, and then send the hips back down, come back up, and down. Lift up, lower back down. One more time, lift up, bring it back down. Now let's hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Straighten those legs, turning those toes in, feet are parallel to each other. Finding that flat back. And exhale, let's plant those hands down. Go and step that right foot, or no, step your left foot back. We're gonna come into that warrior one stance. So left toes are turned up just slightly, bend into that front knee, reaching those arms up overhead. So right hip comes back, left hip pulls forward, rib cage pulls down as we sink into that front knee a little bit more. Reaching those arms up, finding a side bend first. So right hand just hooks down behind the back, left arm reaches up and over. And then inhale, reaching those arms back up. We'll pull those elbows down, interlace the fingers behind the back, open up through that chest. And exhale, fold. So cover that chest, rib cage maybe comes to the inner thigh, shoulder can come all the way down to that knee. Here, maybe you're just somewhere in between. And go ahead and release those hands. Rise back up. Let's straighten that front leg out. So not completely straight or locked out. Slight bend in that knee. And then reach those hands forward. Lower the hands down to the shin. Ankle all the way down to the ground. Keep the back flat. Keep pressing that back heel down. And then inhale, bend to that front knee. Reach those arms back up. And then lower those hands down. Stepping that foot back to our plank. Lower. Inhale, lift it up. And exhaling those hips up and back, downward facing dog. And then come onto the toes. Bend those knees. We're going to step those feet in behind the hands. Turn the toes out, heels in. Sinking those hips down into that chair. Hands come to heart center. Driving those knees out. Core tight. And we'll rise up out of it. All the way to standing. Squat back down. Good. Rise up. And down. Rise up. And down. Now hold it here. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Plant those hands down. Bring those feet parallel to each other. Take another breath here in this forward fold. And now we'll take a big step back with the right foot this time. Turning those toes out just a few degrees into that warrior one. Inhale, we'll reach those arms up overhead. You can square those hips off. So left hip pulls back, right hip pulls forward. Rib cage draws down. Then draw those elbows down. Interlace those fingers, open up through that chest. Big bend into that front knee. And then we'll start to fold. So rib cage, inner thigh, maybe shoulder comes down towards that knee. Keep pulling those knuckles back. Shoulders are away from the ears. And release those hands. Rise back up. Straighten that front leg. Square those hips off. And then we'll reach the hands forward. Hands come down to the shin. Nice flat spine. Maybe those hands can slide down just a little bit further. And then we'll rebend into that front knee. Reach those arms. Back up into that warrior one. And then lower the hands down to the mat. We'll step it back to our plank. Moving through your vinyasa. And then exhale those hips to the sky. Downward facing dog. Now we're going to finish off with a pigeon. So stretching out those hips. We're going to bring that right knee towards that right wrist. Foot sides across the mat. So again, depending on your hip mobility, it may be that the shin is parallel. That's what I can tell with this angle. If your shin is parallel to the front of the mat, okay, just flex those feet. Now, if the hips are a little bit tighter, you can always just angle those toes back and up towards that left hip a little bit more. Now we'll slide that left leg back. Now lower onto those forearms. Just stay on those forearms for a few breaths here. We're really going to press that right shin down into the mat and pull. Think of pressing down and pulling back. Okay, so we're tightening up our right outer glute here. Now we're going to press into that left knee, press down and pull forward. So pause it here, stay really, really active. Take a big breath and squeeze that knee back, or that shin back a little bit more. Hold, hold, hold. Then we can soften, maybe slide that left leg back a little bit more. So we're going to do that one more time. Pressing down into the shin, pulling that knee back, pulling that left knee forward. Hold, big breath in. And now exhale. Just go ahead and soften that head down towards the mat. If you want to slide that left leg back maybe a little bit more, if you got a little bit more mobility in it, you can. But otherwise, just rest that head down, feeling that nice big stretch through that right outer hip. And stay with that breath. Let's come back to those hands. Slowly making your way into that downward facing dog. Now send that left knee to the left wrist. That foot is coming across. So again, if your hips are a little bit tighter, or it might just even feel better on your knees, sliding that foot back a little bit more. So you can tell my heel is right at my right hip flexor, because I have a little bit tighter hips. Okay, now if you're a little bit more mobility, maybe that shin is parallel to the front of the mat, and if that's the case, flex your foot. Okay, otherwise you can just keep pointing through those toes. Now we're going to be on those forearms and pressing into left shin, pulling it back. Right knee presses down and is pulling forward. So really feeling that flexion of the left hip, the left glutes. And hold it here. Big breath in, squeeze. And then as we release, maybe slide that right leg back a little bit more. You point the toes straight back. And then again, press the left shin down and back. Right knee presses down and forward. Stay tight. One more breath in, big breath in, squeeze that knee back. And then as we soften, you can rest that head down. And stay with that breath for just a little bit longer as you let that head release. Let's come back to those hands. Go ahead and step back for down dog. Just for a moment. Maybe a little pedal for the sweet sway through those hips. That left leg back to those legs. Go ahead and lower all the way down onto those knees. Let's come into a seat. Again, just finding a few breaths. Hands on the knees. Roll those shoulder blades back. And soften the shoulders down. Take a big breath into the nose. And that rib cage expanding, sitting up a little bit taller. exhale, press all of that air out, just nice and controlled. Let's go 2 more times, just on your own. Leave those eyes open. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me. Have a great weekend, and I will see you all back on Monday.